Hi again. This is just a little bit more so that you know I'm not full of it, okay? Here's a picture of my parents' wedding at the Naval Academy Chapel. That's my mother and father, obviously, bride and groom. Let's get a good close-up on that. So you can see them there. Nice big wedding party, huh? Okay, that was in 1963. They were married August 18th, 1963 at the United States Naval Academy Chapel in Annapolis, Maryland. This is a picture made in Rhode Island, Newport, Rhode Island in 1965. That's my father, my mother, and if you can tell, that's baby Cheryl. You can probably tell. Let's put it over here. See? My daughter says she can still tell it's me. I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Anyway, that was me when I was a baby. There's my parents at a naval function in Monterey, California. This is my mother over here. And this is my father right there. I'm terrible with these camera things. Anyway, and they're obviously, highfalutin Navy people. And then there's a picture of me, just so you know. It was Chestnut Hills Elementary. This was right after my father had left to go on his last tour in Vietnam in 1969 in October. And if you can read the back, which I doubt, I don't know if it'll show up, but my mother wrote kindergarten, Chestnut Hills. See, it says Cheryl and Smelly, 5 years. So that was right after my father had done his master's degree. I just wanted you all to be aware that I have photo evidence that I'm not lying. When I tell everybody that I know that our government is not just corrupt but evil, and that voting for Barack Obama or voting for John McCain or voting for Bill Clinton is voting for the same guy. I mean, look at the Kerry Bush fiasco in 2004. I saw some guy just right before I decided to record this. I saw some British guy, 57 or something. I can't even remember what his name was, but it just angered me because he's lived in the United States and he um, voted there or whatever. He's got dual citizenship, and he knows so much, and he's met Bill Clinton. Well, whoop-de fucking do, dude. Bill Clinton is a member of the CFR and the Trilateral Commission. I mean, and probably the and Bilderbergers. God knows he's been to Bohemian Grove. Like I said, you'll have to look at the Alex Jones channel for that. Alex Jones channel. Um, and I highly recommend that for anybody that wants to get a little bit of an education. But yeah, like I said, nobody will touch this. I attempted at one point in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, when I was on my own living in Maryland, to contact several different people, including Montel Williams' show. I was actually told I was waiting on the phone, and a producer from the show came on and said that Mr. Williams said that even though he went to the Naval Academy, by the way, Montel Williams, that I should just drop it. My daughter, when she was getting ready to graduate from high school, this was between her junior and senior year, she went for the week at the Naval Academy because she was really thinking about going. I mean, she really wanted to make her deceased grandfather, proud of her, and her step-grandfather, whom I love very much. My stepfather's a wonderful man. I'm so glad he's a part of our lives. However, she went to that like week-long camp to see if she would like to be there, and a friend of hers, actually from high school, was already in his second year. He had been accepted and was a midshipman at the Naval Academy, and was there with them. And she was asking him about, where she could find information on him, my father. And he told her to let it go unless she wanted to wind up like he did, dead, basically. This is what we still hear. This was what, 30 years later? Something's wrong. Something's very, very wrong for that kind of scenario to still be a threat to the government that many years later. Like I said in the previous segment, for that US government to release things about UFOs and chemtrails and other atrocities that have been committed or other things they've covered up, but for them not to release something about what my father was doing or why he was murdered or who did it, and to try to foist it off on him committing suicide. I mean, it doesn't say suicide on his death certificate, though. I've got that somewhere. I'm not about to go dig that up right now. But even though I'm in Scotland, I brought a lot of very important documents with me, but it just says he died of asphyxiation. That's all. It doesn't say suicide. That's not checked on, the box is not checked. So obviously the coroner didn't think it was suicide. I guess it wouldn't be, not with your hands tied behind your back. It's kind of hard to tie your hands behind your back. Really bad. I mean, you might be able to do it a little bit, but not so bad that when you're embalmed in your coffin, you've got rope burns. That's impossible. Unless you're psychotic and you have somebody else murder you for you or commit suicide for you. That just doesn't happen. Um, but I wanted you all to be aware that I'm not full of shit. I do know what I'm talking about. And it took me a long time to wake up too. I kind of drowned myself in drugs and alcohol as a youngster, didn't really pay much attention. I did great at school. I didn't even have to work that hard. I mean, I suppose with that kind of genetic background, grades just came easy to me. I didn't even have to work for it, really. Had I worked for it and put some effort into schoolwork more than I did, I probably would have been at the very top of my class. As it was, I graduated in the top 20. And I didn't even really do anything for it. I did take like trigonometry and analytic geometry and stuff, but then I washed out of college within a couple of years. I didn't really want to go to college. I'd been in school since I was 3. My mother stuck me in the nursery school, the preschool at the Navy in Monterey there, where the postgraduate school was. And we lived in Monterey from the time I was 3 until I was 5, while he was doing his master's thesis. So I was kind of tired of school and wanted a break. So I washed out of it. I was drinking too much, I didn't even bother to withdraw. In fact, I was kind of proud of being like Mr. Blutarski, 0.0 grade point average one semester, because I didn't even bother to withdraw from classes. I mean, that's how bad it was. But I just didn't give a damn. I mean, I felt like my whole life had been robbed from me, which it pretty much was. So I'm not bitter and angry about it anymore. I mean, I've moved on. But I'm only posting this video so that people know that I'm not crazy, I'm not full of shit, I'm not making this up. This is a true story. And it's probably happened to more people than just me, but you just don't hear about it. Or they shut them up, or they pay them off. That's another whole story in and of itself. But I don't want to go into a lot more detail right now, except just to say that I do know what I'm talking about. There is no difference between the so-called leaders of the free world. They're all having the same agenda. Right now it's globalization, microchipping us, getting us to comply with their orders, and if we don't, they're going to eventually shut us up and get rid of a lot of us. Trust me. These people that are talking about the food alterations, the drugs, the fluoride in the water, aspartame, all these things, they're not crazy. Please, please wake up. Please. This is not a joke. This is not a test. Well, if it is a test, it's a test of your will to understand that you can resist this. I'm not a historian because I'm an idiot. I'm a historian because I want to see the world become a better place. And the only way we can understand where we're going is to understand where we've been. And God knows I've been through an awful lot in my 44 years. So like I said, peace. And I hope that you all that watch this will give it a good rating and will understand that I'm only telling you all this so that the population on YouTube can become somewhat aware that these kinds of things really do happen to real people like me. Take care.